Hello, EduMagicians. Welcome to the EduMagic podcast with your host, Dr. Sam Fessich. Dr. Sam is a professor of education, author of EduMagic, and a pumpkin spice latte fan. This podcast is designed for pre-service teachers. Remember, friends, teaching doesn't begin at graduation, but during that first class at 8 a.m. Let's get this party started.
This is Lindsay
and Kathy of Kindergarten Kiosk, a proud member of the Education Podcast Network. Just like the show you're listening to right now.
The opinions expressed are those of individual hosts. Make sure you check out all the other great podcasts at edupodcastnetwork.com. And now the learning begins in 3, 2, 1.
Hey friends, welcome back to another episode of the EduMagic podcast. Today I have joining with me Amanda Reichert, who is a fourth-year teacher, a tech innovator, and just an amazing colleague. She is a PLM power player, and we actually met last summer at ISTE. We shared a rolled ice cream together. It was lovely. And I think we met on Twitter prior to that, but I don't know if we had any other connection before that. But Amanda is, oh my gosh, she is an amazing teacher. She has wonderful ideas. She's always looking to raise up that next generation of educators. So I had Amanda join me for a practicum class. And, you know, I had all these great plans of recording the Zoom meeting. And I did record it. However, I only recorded my audio, which was not what I needed. So Amanda was gracious enough to come back on, and she's going to share with us some student teacher essentials. Sometimes I think around this time for our student teachers, we're either switching placements, maybe we're going from special ed to elementary or elementary to special or middle school to an elementary placement, or maybe we are in the thick of it for our secondary placement. Maybe we're in our placement for secondary for the full 14 weeks and, you know, we're getting into midterms. Sometimes around this time, it's like a restart. It's a refresh. We restart student teaching in a new placement, a new school, a new grade, or with a new teacher. And it's a lot like starting from scratch from that first time whenever we started in August or September. So Amanda's going to share with us some of her tips and strategies. She's also going to share lots of stuff because teachers have stuff and we love our things. And she's going to share some of her go-tos because, like I said, whenever we come into a new student teaching placement, yes, we have more experiences, we have more knowledge, but we are starting a new placement. So oftentimes it is like starting from scratch. So Amanda, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for coming on. And can you share a little bit about your passion for raising up that next generation of educators?
Yeah, thank you, Sam. I'm so excited to join you on your podcast. So I was really excited at first to just share with your student teaching group, with your group that you're teaching at your school. But I'm even more excited to share with your whole network of teachers and hopefully lots of student teachers some of my student teaching essentials. There is a Google slide presentation I'm sure that you're going to put into your show notes as well. But yeah, again, my name is Amanda Jean Reichert. You can find me on most social media through Amanda Jean2, particularly Twitter. And the first thing I want to share is stuff. Just like you're saying, teachers have so much stuff. And we also really love our stuff. One thing to remember is a lot of us buy our stuff on Amazon, and if you are not familiar with already Amazon Smile, I recommend that everybody uses it. Amazon Smile is just a different division of Amazon. It's all the same buying, all the same interface, but your purchase now also goes to a charity of your choice. So my charity of choice is the Charles A. Melton Arts and Education Center in Westchester. Every time I buy something on Amazon, part of my purchase goes towards them. And it might be a couple of cents, but by the end of the year, that really equates to something because you never know like what you're buying, where that's going. So I recommend everyone uses Amazon Smile for your purchases.
That's awesome. I've used that before. We have an organization here in Pennsylvania called PAECT, and they have an Amazon Smile account set up. And so giving just a little bit back is always so important because we're always on Amazon buying all those things that we're going to talk about in just a few minutes. But it's also so important to give back to your community.
Yeah, definitely. And it makes a difference. It also makes you feel a little bit better about that money you spend on Amazon. All the teacher things. And speaking of teacher things, I have some favorites. So they're all linked and all of those things on our Google slide presentation. But one of my favorite things is dry erase tape. So there's regular tape, there's scotch tape, there's masking tape, but dry erase tape, you put it down and it's now a dry erase surface. And I love it. It's handy to stick different places. I put it on my bins so that I can write on them. It's just something that if you have not seen it before, it might revolutionize your classroom.
I love this idea. I wish they had this whenever I was teaching. Maybe they did and I just didn't know it. I see all the time teachers write like positive notes on their students' desks with dry erase tape. I love it for labeling, like you said, bins and containers and things like that you store in your classroom. But yeah, this is a great resource. I love it.
Yeah, it's like a simple thing, but it's those simple things that really make a difference in your day. And that's why I also have Flair pens and Ticonderoga pencils on my list as well. Because you do nothing but write all day long. Like you're grading, you're showing things, you're on a document camera. It makes a big difference. We all know teachers love their Flair pens, and there's nothing like a good pencil. So I would recommend that every student teacher has those things in their binder when they go for their first day, because I think it will really make a big. The other thing I have on my wish list for Amazon is magnetic paper holders. So they're just like the paper holders that you put on your refrigerator and stick pictures in, but they're paper sized. And they're really handy for all of those things that you just need offhand or off the cuff. Like I have one right next to my desk with all the teachers' extension numbers. And I have one that has our early dismissal schedule. And then there's one with my seating chart in the front of the rooms. And it's just a handy thing that you wouldn't think of otherwise, but it really is an important part of my classroom and managing all of the materials that are here. So I really love those magnetic paper holders.
I'll put a link to all this in the show notes so people can go ahead and find exactly what you're talking about. But this next one that you're going to share with us, the window film, I think is really important, especially in today's classroom. Can you share a little bit more?
Yeah, so my classroom door has a big window and there's a little window inside the door. And you don't really think about that until it comes time for safe school drills. So I, every single year for the last 3 years, was panic stricken when we got to safe school drill time because I like to have my windows open. I don't like covering them, but they need to be covered for that drill. So I'd be frantically taping paper to my door and covering it up so that there's no way to see in the room. So I came up with over the summertime the translucent film, which you usually use in like bathroom windows so that people can't see through, but you still get the light. And I put it in my window on my door this year, and you can pick your own pattern, whatever suits your fancy, but it's made a huge difference because I get the effect of the door being open, the window being open, but instead now it's a lot safer because I don't have to worry when it comes time for safe school drill time, So I love that stuff. I'm a big fan, and I also really love plants. I'm a big proponent. I have animals in my room. I have plants in my room. I have lots of living things, but I think living things make a really big difference. Just having living things around makes a difference. And it's also too, like, I will take a moment out of my day to water my plants. Well, that's a mindful moment for me. I'm stopping what I'm doing and focusing on something else that's not me and not my kids. And I feel like those little moments during your day make a big difference in the span of the 8 hours that you're on this marathon of children.
You're right. Like you need to have those mindful moments for yourself. And
on that note, be a person. I actually have to really exercise this myself this week. I'm a little, I'm burning the candle at both ends, but it is important to be a person. You cannot do all of the things you do for your kids and for your school unless you're doing something for yourself, because you will burn out. Everyone, no matter how great you are, has those moments of burnout. So my recommendation is plan activities for your week. And I mean plan them, like put them in your planner that have nothing to do with school at all. Yoga, running, boxing, art, book club, whatever your thing is, put it in your planner and do not look at your email. Do not plan a lesson. Don't start going on Pinterest and looking for cute activities. Just let that be your time for you.
I think that's so important. What are some things that you put on your list that has nothing to do with school?
So I love watching television. It's something simple, but it makes me happy. And I sit down with my fiance and we watch it and we don't think about anything else, you know? So that's like one of our little things. I like to go for walks. I do like to go and do yoga and things like that, or hang out with friends and all of those good things. But television is one of my big planning things because it is something that I can sit down and do for an hour or for 30 minutes. So it doesn't seem overwhelming, you know?
Right. So let's talk about planning a little bit. So we're planning in time for ourselves. We're planning lessons or planning time with our students. What are some of your tips and tricks when it comes to planning for a new student teacher?
Yeah, so planning is a really big part of our lives because we have a lot to manage. But one thing I wish someone had talked to me about when I was a student or even student teaching was what kind of planner you are. And I think the biggest categories are paper planner versus digital planner. I really tried to be a paper planner person, but it was not for me. And so being a digital planner was a better route. And on that note, I have a lot of different resources for whatever type of planner you are. These are good options that might be good for you. So if you are a paper planner, I have like a list up from We Are Teachers, which is a great resource. A list for Erin Condren. She's like a really big planner in the teacher world. An Etsy list, a paper source list is where you could get a beautiful planner, because I know lots of teachers are really into their planner. I've tried planbook.com. I really liked it. I've tried chalk.com. I also liked that. But for me, I sort of live and breathe Google. So I've settled in now on, I do all of my planning using Google Calendar, Google Docs, Google Slides, and I make my own pages and formats and all of those things just because that works best for me. But I've gone through the whole gambit. I feel like I'm on year 4 now, and I finally sort of settled into what works best for me. But it took me all of that time to figure it out.
Right. And that's okay. Giving yourself grace, I think, is super important, and finding which works best for you. And I don't know if it's so much as a paper versus digital. I use a combination of the two. If I have my phone by me, I'm recording voice messages. Sometimes I just get in the mood where I just want to write it down and get it out of my brain, that type of stuff. So I think having both methods or one or the other, just finding something that works best for you. There's no right or wrong way to do it. Just find a method that you can stick to and do it.
The last lesson planner kind of deal that I wanted to mention was a 1-page lesson format, especially as a student. You learn how to write lesson plans from your colleges, and they're usually extremely in-depth. And that is very important as you are learning. But in the throes of the day, when you are standing in front of kids and you are in a panic because you cannot remember what you were supposed to do next, there's no way you're sifting through 6 pages of content that you painstakingly wrote. I always found that a 1-page lesson format was really helpful for me, especially when you're in front of kids and you need to know what you're supposed to do. I had like a really, really simple one that I would just write in when I was in college.
And I think we can tie that whole, finding something that works best for you also into professional development. Oftentimes districts provide great professional development, and sometimes there's not. So owning your own professional development is so important when it comes to being a teacher. What strategies and tips do you have for student teachers out there who are looking to grow and develop professionally?
Well, I definitely recommend that everyone goes to Ed Camp. They're free and they're awesome. You all also can get lots of free stuff from Ed Camp. So not only are they a free experience with other teachers that you get to talk to, but you get free stuff. I mean, who doesn't love free things? I've won free things at Ed Camps multiple times. I've gotten gift cards. My document camera, it's an $80 document camera. I won it at an Ed Camp. I've gotten all kinds of cool stuff from going, but Ed Camps are cool too because it's teachers you're talking to. So as soon as I found out about them, even when I was still a student in college, I started going, and it was the best experience because you get to talk to teachers about what they're doing with their kids in their classrooms. It makes a really big difference.
It really puts that stuff that you're learning about in school right into practice. And you can see the application right away whenever you talk to teachers and see what they are doing in the classroom. You get a pulse on what's actually going on in classrooms today.
Yeah, and Ed Camps are great because they're free, but I'd also recommend going to other conferences as well. I did my best to attend as many conferences as I could when I was in college, and now I go to a lot and present. But conferences are great where you can sort of find your people, where I found people who had like interests to me or wanted to try things out with my class or were willing to, go the extra mile to do something a little out of the ordinary. I found them at conferences.
I agree. It's so important to find those people out there through a professional learning network, through conferences that can help support and encourage you during your first year teaching. I think especially is so important, but also throughout your teaching career, because they're there to help you and just raise you up. Know that you are doing the best that you can for kids.
Yep. The last professional development I have is just be part of a PLN, which I know that you're a really huge promoter of. And I think there's lots of places to find that now. Twitter and Facebook both have great educational systems and groups. We know that Twitter is like the mecca of all education stuff. But Facebook has some really amazing groups too. Like I personally am part of several Facebook teacher groups, and I've gotten ideas for my classroom this week from just being part of the groups and watching people talk. So on that same note, I have a slide here on your online presence and building your online presence, because I think that that's an important thing to do, especially before you graduate and go into your classroom. Whatever you can do ahead of time is always helpful. Here, the first thing I have is Google yourself. It is definitely important to know how you're being represented in the world. And the internet is filled with all sorts of surprises, but you don't want them to be a surprise. So I would recommend to everyone that you Google yourself. I told your class as well, the reason why my name is Amanda Jean Reichert, and it's my name, yes, but the reason I use my middle name is because I Googled myself. When I was in college, we had like professional development when I was student teaching where they tried to scare the living daylights out of you about being on the internet and not doing the wrong thing. And so I Googled myself, and I found that there were other Amanda Reicherts in the world who were fairly unsavory people. And they were not me, but they had my name, and I did not want to be associated with them in any way, shape, or form. So I started putting my full name on everything to fully distinguish myself. And now, sort of in the educational community, everyone calls me Amanda Jean, and it's just sort of been a thing. So I would recommend everyone Google yourself. And as you do that and you decide to figure out what works best for you, build your presence online. And one way to do that is through an online portfolio. And then if you don't already have an educational Twitter account, I am not sure where you've been, but get on our train right now. Now's the time. Everything that you need is on Twitter, like everything. All the people, all the ideas, all the things, all of the news is on Twitter. So I would get an educational Twitter account and start building your presence there as well.
Thank you so much for sharing all about the teacher stuff that we have to have and using Amazon Smile to search for that to give back to our community. Thanks for sharing about, the importance of being a person when it comes to teaching. It is so hard and it really can consume your life, but you really do need to make time for yourself, for your family, for those around you. And the importance of planning out that time, whether it be digital or paper or a combination, and then pulling in that professional development piece through online presence, through ed camps. This has been a jam-packed episode, Amanda, and I thank you so much for this. For my listeners out there, if you're wondering what was on Amanda's Amazon wish list, the dry erase tape, the flare pens, the Ticonderoga pencils, and the magnetic paper holders, if you want a chance to win that prize pack, you have to send out a message on Twitter, then tag Amanda and I and use hashtag EduMagic, one of your favorite takeaways from the episode. The contest will run until the end of October 31st at midnight Eastern time. Whatever you tweet out will be an entry into a contest to win Amanda's wish list for you student teachers out there and new teachers if you're listening. And I can't wait to share that out with all of you. Amanda, how can people find you online? Because I know they're going to want to connect with you and ask you all the questions.
Yeah, I would love people want to contact me and ask any questions. I'm always happy to do those things and talk in any way, shape, or form. You can find me on Twitter at AmandaJean2. That's the best place to start. From there, you'll find my webpage. You can find my LinkedIn. You can find I'm on Voxer as well. But Twitter's probably the best place to begin.
And you can also, on Twitter, you can also watch Amanda's journey with her new pet lizard in her classroom.
Yep, yeah, Guster.
Awesome. That is so cool. Amanda, thank you so much for your time today. And before we end out, what is one piece of advice you have for future teachers?
I think that if you are a future teacher, then your best thing that you can possibly do in your undergrad is just always say yes to every opportunity you get, whether it's volunteering or doing something with a professor or going out of your way to work with kids. Just keep saying yes. Build that portfolio, build your resume, get lots of experience.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much, Amanda.
There you have it, friends. Episode 26 of the EduMagic podcast featuring Amanda Reichert. To get all the tools we talked about today, head on over to www.sfessage.com/26.
Hey friends, finding a teaching job is tough, and finding the right teaching job for you can be even harder. But don't worry, AAEE has you covered. Attend the Education Career Fair on Thursday, October 24th, 2019 from 1 to 5 p.m. at the Norfolk Waterside Marriott in Norfolk, Virginia to find your perfect match. Districts from the local area and across the country are ready with jobs to offer. Whether you're looking for your first teaching job or you just want to see what options are out there, you'll be sure to make great connections that you won't regret. And you may walk away with a copy of the trusty Job Search Handbook for Educators. Candidate registration is always free, so go online, aaee.org/conference now.
There you have it, EduMagicians. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and share it with your friends. For more EduMagic, check out sfessage.com and follow Dr. Sam on Twitter and Instagram @sfessage. Until next time, you have the EduMagic within you.